Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Ranty's Parallax Problem Solved. I am joined by Ranty, and by Anthony Riley, and by Paul, our resident on the Isle of Man. So without further ado, I'm going to transition across to Skype connection so we can have a brief explanation from Ranty. How are you doing, Ranty?
Yeah, I'm doing good, thank you very much.
Excellent. So tell us what you've got on screen and talk us through this parallax problem.
Okay, well, I was watching the debate today with Rumpus, and I also caught the back end of a hangout that Sparkane was running, and there seems to be a lot of contention as to this far line on the left, which is actually the Langness Lighthouse. Now, I'm going to address this so that it's very simple for both the Rumpus and Sly to understand this, because it shouldn't be that hard. But it appears that it is, so I'm going to address it now. And everyone seems to, well, especially Rumpus today and Sly yesterday, was taking a screenshot of the Isle of Man from this location here where Anthony is. Now, when we first did it, we went through the same issues. We had this same belief that if we took the image from where Anthony was, we'd get everything to line up. What we found was that that just doesn't work. We then realized that what we have to do is behave like the camera. So when I say that, this is what the camera does. The camera moves in and it comes closer and closer and closer. Now I've put out 5 different positions on this Google Earth map here. We have the lighthouse on the right, which is more gold. We have the houses on the hill. We have the town near the claw. We have the Douglas Head, and we have the lighthouse on the left. But here's the issue. As I move in with the camera, and the camera's zooming in, and we're about 1,000 zoom in now, and now we're getting to about 1,200 zoom, you will notice that the lighthouse on the left and Douglas are starting to get closer together. So as you keep zooming in and zooming in, this is the issue with the parallax. As you zoom in and you zoom in and you get closer, something happens. So when you get to here, what you suddenly see is that the lighthouse is now flipped sides. So the lighthouse would be on the right and Douglas would be on the left. Now this does not fit with the evidence. The evidence shows that the lighthouse down here matches here. We have the houses on the hill which match. We have Baldrine which matches here, Douglas Head which matches here, and we have the lighthouse which matches here. So that can only tell us that parallax, yes, whilst it's prevalent, is not in the same dimensions that both Sparkane and Rumpus have been talking about today. What they need to do is behave like the camera. Instead of going back and taking the image from way back where Anthony took it from, and can you see the gaps growing between each? And they don't match up when you take the image from there. Nothing matches up. Look at the difference between this lighthouse and the houses on the hill. Watch them grow further apart. Watch them grow further and further apart. But yet the relation to on the hill stays the same. But the relation to the lighthouse on the right gets further away. I'll do that again. So that's quite a good example, actually. The relation between these 2 black ones here and the white, which is the lighthouse, watch. These stay pretty constant, but the white one is going further and further and further to the right. And that is getting further inwards. It's going to swap in a moment. So what you have to do is you have to find the sweet spot. And by that, I mean the spot where everything matches up to the actual evidence. So you need the lighthouse here to be the same distance away from the houses on the hill, to be the same distances away from Baldrine, from the same distances from Douglas Head. And once you've got that, then you know where the camera actually took the image from. And there should be no issue with parallax after that. And that's the presentation done on that. Anything you'd like to ask on that, Nathan?
I think that's perfectly adequate. I think now
here we have
move
a
on
very
to
good sorry, I've zoomed in on the lighthouse Langness, and I've I've cropped out the part that isn't supposed to be the Langness Lighthouse, but I'm confident that your watchers will see that this is the line of sight. The line of sight takes you to this corner. This is where Anthony would have had his line of sight, and it dissects the centre of this lighthouse. I can show you that on Google Earth so that you know that I'm not telling any lies with this.
And it's not just the structure of the vertical bit; it's the width as well.
So this is the line of sight, and as we scroll in, what you have here is the building shaped like such. So his line of sight would have taken you into this corner. And when I go back to the actual evidence, which is here, the corner, the lighthouse, you can clearly see the lighthouse structure. You can clearly see the white base underneath it. There is absolutely no doubt that this is what we're looking at. This structure that lines up perfectly. I've just gone through the parallax. All these are in the exact locations where you'd expect them to be. So this has addressed the parallax point. The lighthouse now matches the same distance between the houses on the hill, which is Balaga, which is the same distance away from Baldrine, same distance to to Douglas Head, which means that this can only be Langness Lighthouse. It's as simple as that. It's a process of elimination, and the actual evidence speaks volumes and speaks for itself. Anybody that denies this is delusional, or just an absolute shill, or just I can't explain it any simpler. It really is that simple.
Which leaves us with the bottom line question, which is that based on what you have demonstrated with the observable landmarks going up and down the coast in the image and basing them on what Google Earth represents, and as you discussed earlier with this, Ranty, they can't have it not represent what it would look like if you were travelling along in a boat at roughly this distance. We're talking about the top image now. What this looks like has to be representative of reality, and in the short scale, up to about 100 miles, you can't really see the fanning out of the Earth that is portrayed on Google Earth. You just can't see it. It's very, very close. You can't see the minuscule differences. However, with that being said, you can compare the scrapes and landmarks in great detail when you get down to a really, really high resolution image that's exceptionally clear. You can see the detail, and that is precisely what Ranty has done. He has matched up the detail and matched up the parallax, and when it's been modelled, the camera and its sweep, you have to account for that also in terms of the parallax change as you rotate the camera. And these are the nths, the degrees that we have gone to demonstrate that we have accurately matched these locations up. And what we are left with is the lighthouse in the exact position you would expect it to be, with a considerable amount of land behind it and to the left of it. So everything behind, in this image, everything behind this lighthouse is Ireland at 145 miles. Now, at a later date, I'm hoping that with Chris, we can do a demonstration that shows a flat map overlaid with Google. So you can see how much this problem gets when you go to distance. And what it has done in this instance is force a mountain range 3 miles out of position. That's why we can see it behind the lighthouse. It's been forced out of its position on Google Earth. On the flat map, it lines up perfectly because it's not fanning out to wrap around a ball. In other words, Google's representation of where this mountain range is only wrong because they wrap it round a ball. In reality, we see it in the image behind the lighthouse, which has been conclusively identified. So this is the bit for all the people who now want to look at the north end of the island and start looking at lowlands. I'm afraid not. This is, unfortunately, the diamond that you have to debunk. The island at the north end, you can talk about that amongst yourselves, I'm afraid, because this is the elephant in the room. We're seeing Ireland at 145 miles. The reason we know we're seeing it is because we can positively identify the location of the lighthouse, and what do you know? There's a lighthouse-shaped item in the actual photography, in the exact location we would expect to see it. And what is behind it is a mountain range at 145 miles. Debunk that.
Just one last thing before we go. Ranty, go back to your composite, please. the one with the labels on it. Can you see that Ranty's got Baldrine and he's got Balacanel identified on the right-hand side? This is where you guys are getting this wrong. Balacanel sits at an elevation, according to Google Earth, at 250 feet. I am only sat at around about 52 feet, give or take a little bit. That's above me, and that's why we see no houses. Why is that? Because on a flat plane, if you're trying to look above the line of sight to a road that is above you, you are not going to see anything. That is why Balacanel is in the image, and it's why you can't see anything of it. However, you guys misidentify Baldrine as Balacanel. It's simply wrong. You are getting the wrong elevation, you are getting the wrong bearings, no matter what maths you apply, no matter what Rumpus calculates, it's not matching the evidence. Why is Balacanel identified on the map and it lines up with everything else and we see none of it? There's one, maybe two little dots there. Think about it. 260 feet of elevation, but I'm only stood at 50. Come on, think about it.
Anybody with anything else to add before I round out? This is going to give me a short one.
Fine with me.
Yeah, fuck you, Globers.
No need. Right. With that, I will round out this very short presentation in regards to Ranty's parallax problem. Thank you very much to anybody who joined us in the live audience. Be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. And just one last reminder, the jewel, the diamond, this is what you need to debunk for all the people out there on the globe side that feel this is not a legitimate photograph. We have a lighthouse at 51 miles identified exceptionally well by Ranty, and we also have the mountains of Southern Ireland at 145 miles. Please feel free to debunk that. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.